Arabic Learning Session 36. That crook conned me out of all my savings. We just chit-chat. I can't stand around chit-chatting. The cats get more cuddles and the small furries get extra treats too. He was famous enough to be caricatured by Private Eye. A robust mixture of fish, onions, capers and tomatoes. The trinkets were charms from his wife's bracelet. I wasn't slinging off at your religion, mock or make fun. A frontier gunslinger who was quick on the draw. Political gunslingers like Rick never apologize. You're not going to charm me into changing my mind. His essays characterized decency as a British peculiarity. For all his peculiarities, she finds him quite endearing. Humans are described as being made in God's likeness. The only known likeness of Dorothy as a young woman. A program which is, at the very least, excellent for the hospital. The airfield was bombed and made inoperable. He was caricatured as a dupe and a dullard. She stood waving as they whirled past. Kate made her way back to the office, her mind whirling. The event was all part of the mad social whirl. Give yourself a swirly, stick your head in the toilet. Twirling her hair and staring directly into the lens of the camera. It is still runny. He is charming and urbane. I used to have a massive crush on my geography teacher. I have a secret guilty pleasure eating chocolate. The base of the triangle. The town's economic base collapsed. What causes satiety? A guide gauged his life as a forfeit if he failed. Green gauge is a sweet greenish fruit resembling a small plum. A boilerplate question isn't actually a real question. He's been carrying on with someone at work for years, have an affair. What foods increase satiety? Most children have an insatiable desire for knowledge. This feeling of satiety is precisely what makes avocados your greatest allies in the battle against those extra pounds. A truck piled high with wooden lugs of grapes. A crafty crook faked an injury to escape from prison. The rain is falling on already saturated ground, putting added pressure on swollen rivers. She lay gathering her thoughts together. The town is not the cesspool you portrayed. A molecule that seems to regulate satiety. The individual's right to work has been upheld as sacrosanct. The criticism was both vindictive and personalized. The soil is saturated. The air is saturated with the smells of food. The groundwater is saturated with calcium hydroxide. Japan's electronics industry began to saturate the world markets. She has an insatiable curiosity about life. Is spontaneity a good thing? The pillaging of a town or city. It's over, roll credits. I need you to roll with it. We cannot merely give up and succumb to despair. You are getting on board with his ideas. After a few blows there, the porcupine succumbs. Man, you really have snapped. She hatched the plan. The little plot that you and Sylvia hatched up last night. The early 1970s witnessed a veritable price explosion. The store provided a veritable cornucopia of modern gadgets. They were slogging away to meet a deadline. When I was a nerdy kid, I got bullied a lot. He bartended a bit, but never had a full-time job. Now ladies slut up. My incredibly nerdy knowledge of video games. Our penguins were hatched and hand-reared here. The fire was a tragic mishap that could have been prevented. We sneaked in the back. Do you expect us to believe a cockeyed story like that? Absurd, impractical. 10 little chicks hatched out. Eggs need to be put in a warm place to hatch. Are you waiting for an engraved invitation? She's bored with my juvenile conversation. It is travesty. The shafts of a horse-drawn wagon. Home was officially exorcised by a Catholic priest. He's always got his head in the clouds. Infants were exorcised prior to baptism. I withdraw what I said. The pleats will drip dry and stay in. The debonair con artist lives by scamming rich women. How do you know if you ran a red light? 2 men at opposite ends of the social scale. Antimatter particles are the same as matter particles. Matter and antimatter annihilate each other on contact. I totally spaced on that. A neck brace. My wingman. Don't stick your head out the sunroof. Bachelorette party. I will gobble you up. They garnered the attention of neighbors. The police struggled to garner sufficient evidence. Witch hazels are the harbingers of spring. Her sins must be expiated by sacrifice. His skin is very dry and chaps easily. An ulterior motive lurks behind every altruistic act. Dry climates, altitude, and many other factors can chap your lips. He sounded like a nice, caring sort of chap. A new salary scale is planned for all universities. The mean delivery time is plotted against a scale. You can't beat the taste of fresh raspberries. It beats me how you manage to work in this heat, baffle. These are goggles, underwear, and pajamas in the wash. The force of impact had whiplashed the man's head. Pure gold can be beaten out to form very thin sheets. The vertical axis is given on a logarithmic scale. The conversion of the number to the binary scale. The paint was scaling from the brick walls. I sneaked up on them and told them they were busted. I am going to bust your rut. It is not rut, it is routine. The current was forming foam-lipped eddies along the bank. An eddy of chill air swirled into the carriage. The mists from the river eddied round the banks. The tall spouts of geysers. He was spouting platitudes about our furry friends. The memory of the conversation still vexed him. He chipped a superb shot over the keeper. The music changed to a funky disco beat. The beat of the wipers became almost hypnotic. He liked to boast and she would egg him on shamelessly. She told him she'd spent all her savings, but he didn't bat an eyelid. It struck him that she was unusually silent. She was rather struck on him, wasn't she? Be deeply fond of or infatuated with. To curate the activities for youngsters in the UK. Tush, these are trifles and mere old wives' tales. He got into a tizzy and was talking absolute tosh. The double glazing blankets the noise a bit. He was born on the wrong side of the blanket, illegitimate. Education chiefs were stumped by some of the exam questions. Detectives are stumped for a reason for the attack. She dipped the ladle into the casserole dish. I warmed my spirits with coffee in a chapped cup. A chipped passport will be much harder to forge. Ham served with fried eggs and chipped potatoes. We had to chip ice off the upper deck. The American League umpires. He gobbled up the rest of his sandwich. I'm jonesing for a coffee, can we take a break? Try to trip her up in questions. She had begun to remove the breakfast china. She was in August company. Such a waste. The ultimate wager. The party was a real bummer. His handmade Italian loafers. The difference between a nuclear family is a mom, dad, and their kids. Cramped hotel suites. He wears a toupee. My veil got thrashed. I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing in my life. The dinosaur used its claw to disembowel prey. Uproar as he refuses to shake female official. I am bearded down. What a wuss. Unlike her friends, she is neither a snob nor a gossip. With one touch of my feet, I spurn the solid earth. I know I can rely upon your discretion, mum's the word. The presence of a submarine would kibosh the operation. A gutsy and daring thrust into enemy territory. Her gutsy 80-year-old grandmother 80. They forged a capital alliance with Toyota in 2019. He showcased his unwavering support. The label has gained worldwide traction. I love being gutsy and daring. I really love getting flung about. He had given up all thoughts of making London his home. What does Belmopan mean? A petty gangster or ruffian. A blue and white checkered tablecloth. Sunlight fell through the trees, checkering the stones. A great plain checkered with corn and green mosses. The Admiral dismissed the rumor without a second thought. The end. Coming next. Session 37.